I've been a business and marketing teacher at South High School for the past 16 of my 20 years of teaching. During this time, I've been responsible for running the Academy of Finance, which is a national program that grants separate diplomas to student completers. I've been teaching courses for this program in accounting, levels 1 and 2, as well as financial literacy courses that focus on budgeting, banking, savings, and investing. A large benefit of the program is the paid internships for students at places like First Bank, KPMG Accounting, the Federal Reserve Bank, Wells Fargo, just to name a few. I've always enjoyed taking students of the program to New York City each spring to visit finance institutions like the New York Stock Exchange, Solomon Smith Barney, and the Fed. So far, I've taken 14 groups of students on this yearly excursion, missing only once when my wife was pregnant with our first child. But I also teach courses that don't have much to do with my business degree, multimedia and videography. In multimedia, I introduce students to great tools and teach them how to use them, like WordPress for creating websites and blogs, Prezi for presentations, Pixlr for photo editing, Audacity to edit audio, video editing with Adobe Premiere from the production suite, and also motion graphics using After Effects, as well as integration of Photoshop and Illustrator. In my videography classes, students take these skills and continue to use Adobe products to create works like our daily announcement videos that are posted on the school's website as well as ran throughout monitors in the building.
Hey, what's up, Rebels? I'm Molly Casey, and today
These students are also responsible for the weekly production of our news show, The Rebel Report.
But we're not quite there.
We also film all stage productions and create highlights for various sports teams. And our final project of the year is a video yearbook highlighting the senior class. And if that isn't enough, I'm also the stage manager and work with students after school to build sets and operate the audio and lighting systems for all productions. That still doesn't explain how a business graduate can work as a digital arts teacher. Well, I'll tell you the answer. Experience. Lots and lots of experience. My dad has always been a big music buff, and I became interested in it as well by the time I was 6. My father noticed this and let me listen with him, but told me that I wasn't to touch his sound system when he wasn't around. Yeah, right. I couldn't resist the temptation and wanted to operate the sound system myself. So I began to break his rule by the time I was 8. I had watched him operate it enough that I knew how to turn on each component and select which source unit I would play music from on the system's receiver. When I got home from school, I would play my favorite albums on his Technics turntable and push out some serious sound on his Lafayette speakers, all the while watching out the window to make sure he hadn't come home yet. When he did arrive home, I would quickly turn off the stereo system and make sure to put all the knobs and switches back in the same position that they were before. When I became a teenager, I began reading his stereo review magazines, which led me to find other audio publications like Car Audio Review and Crutchfield. By constantly reading these magazines, I learned about ohms, watts, amps, sound frequencies, wiring, and a long list of related audio concepts. When I turned 16, I got my first car, a 1978 Ford Pinto, and began installing full car stereos, from the head unit to separate amplifiers and crossovers, high-end speakers, and of course, subwoofers for extra bass kick. Every car I've ever owned has had a very high-end audio system in it. Most of the time, the stereo system was worth a lot more than the vehicle. I bought my first home stereo rack system when I was 17. That same year, I took the first ever offered computer programming class at my high school, learning BASIC on an Apple IIe. Word processing software and Microsoft Office weren't invented yet. Heck, we didn't even have a mouse yet for the computer. At 18, I entered my first year of college at the Community College of the Finger Lakes in upstate New York. I took a few more courses in computer programming as electives in my business administration degree. During my second year, I understood programming so well the college hired me as a programming language tutor, as well as a tutor for accounting. That same year, I also took a part-time job as a disc jockey for an entertainment company in Rochester, New York, working at local clubs. By the time I was 20, I had enough gear and was able to rent what I didn't own, so I quit working for the entertainment company and started my own DJ service called Sounds TOGO. I continued tutoring computer languages at college part-time. It took me 5.5 years to get my associate's degree in business administration, as I was going to school part-time while working many jobs to make ends meet. My father and I grew apart as he went through a few marriages. When he started his third and current marriage to Jerry, he reached out to try to get back into my life. My dad offered to let me move to his house near SUNY Oswego in order to obtain my bachelor's degree in business and another in teaching. I took his offer and moved to Oswego when I turned 23. I got a job that summer at an electronics store as a salesman for audio products. By the next year, I was promoted to manager of the computer, audio, and video departments. It was at this time that I received extensive training in camcorders and video technologies. By the time I turned 25, Circuit City and Best Buy grew so much that Silo started to struggle. I could see that my company wasn't going to make it. Matter of fact, they went out of business the next year. I graduated from the State University of Oswego with a bachelor's degree in business distributive education. Then I resigned from my job at Silo and moved to North Carolina to take a teaching position as a business and marketing teacher. I taught a few different courses at Person High School, but ended up settling in with technology application classes, teaching early versions of Microsoft Word and Excel to my students. I decided to buy my own computer during my second year as a teacher so I could work and create things for class at home. By age 29, my final year in North Carolina, I was hired by the school district to install computer labs in the high school. I learned quite a bit about the insides of computers at this point. When I turned 30, I got an itch to move to Colorado to be able to explore the beautiful Rocky Mountains. I applied for many teaching jobs and landed one for Denver Public Schools. I've been a South Rebel ever since. As mentioned at the beginning of this video, I became the Academy of Finance lead teacher and taught computer application courses as well. But I'm going to go back to my beginning of South and explain where I started and what I did. One of the first projects that I undertook was to open a school store. It ended up being a huge success as we were able to earn revenues in the $50,000 range with profits of $15,000 to $16,000 each year. This money was used to pay the way to New York City for my finance students that worked in the store. Instead of using a simple cash register, I decided to install a computer with a barcode scanner to handle our cashier and inventory control functions. This helped to manage the store effectively with so many students as employees. My DJ business exploded during my second year in Denver as I landed a spot on the vendors list for the Chief Host Lodge. From this connection, my business, which is now simply called Pro Sounds, has been able to generate over 400 DJ functions and weddings and related events since I've been in Colorado. During my third year at South, 2001, I began a multimedia class as a new offering to our students. At this time, multimedia was considered a business class and focused on PowerPoint. I didn't see the need to spend an entire semester teaching PowerPoint, so I researched more about video editing and found a program called VideoWave that we began to use to create basic videos in class. This led to my realization that professional non-linear editing existed, so I began researching and learning more about the video creation process. I continued to use VideoWave for 2 years while my class began to create a monthly news show for the school called The Rebel Report. By the time I turned 35, I had become very proficient at working with Adobe Premiere and After Effects by learning from training books, online tutorials, and friends in the industry. I had also added this skill as a service to my DJ company and changed the name to Pro Sounds and Video. I began filming wedding videos and have now done over 40 of them, as well as other functions like graduations and quinceañeras. I began to teach these Adobe products to my students in multimedia as well. When I turned 40, our school administration at the time asked me to create a weekly version of our news show, which caused my class sizes to begin to grow to a point that more sections of the course needed to be added. I was also hired as stage manager for our auditorium productions due to my audio background. I did, however, have to begin learning about professional stage lighting. The Rebel Report has become such a hit with students that my schedule for this no longer has me teaching business courses. Starting this year, I now only teach media, video, and stagecraft class. Our principal has liked what we do so much that she hired an additional teacher this summer to join me in our newly created digital arts department. We will now also be offering Photoshop, Illustrator, and 3D graphics to our students through this new teacher. We now have a full-fledged multimedia and video production program that sets up our students for careers in this growing field. With the changes to the world of technology and multimedia, the Colorado Department of Education changed the requirements to teach multimedia classes, and now teachers that teach this area must be art certified. This would have posed a problem for me, except that the State Department for Licensing reviewed my body of work, along with my having taken graduate media courses at Regis University, and I am now certified as a digital arts teacher. I've known people that work in fields that they didn't go to college for, and now I'm one of them. I do enjoy multimedia and videography, but I will miss teaching business classes, as I've been doing that for 19 years. Well, another page turns in this chapter of the book of my life.